What outdated technology are you still holding onto for dear life? Piece of kit in my tech bag? The ASUS WL330 Newell. Looking at it, you might think it's a USB Ethernet adapter. Technically it is. It's also a USB Wi-Fi adapter. But wait! It's also a teeny tiny wireless router. Ethernet in, USB for power, doesn't even need to be connected to a computer, it'll just grab whatever Ethernet it's connected to, and broadcast whatever SSID you've configured. Range on it isn't great, but it's good enough to set up a small temporary Wi-Fi network. Absolutely phenomenal device, sadly long discontinued, and there's nothing even remotely like it available today. Records. I have an extensive collection of old vinyl. My furniture-sized record player cabinet from the late 60s or early 70s broke, so I bought a cheap one off Amazon until I could have it serviced. I would estimate about 500 albums. Orchestra, rock, country, blues, and even Disney. Since so many older people wish to just get rid of them, I find them at yard sales, estate sales, abandoned houses, and occasional gifts. Before I get dragged, I don't resale. I actually enjoy them. Several times a year, I find myself flipping through them for specific records or bragging rights low. I have a Sega Master System. The hours I spend on this with my brothers is unmatched, and it still works, leading me to also keep an old little TV so we can use it still. Still have an iPod as well, and I like being able to bring music without having to bring my phone. I just realized DVDs is not the most up-to-date media. But I keep mine and still buy some. Streaming as an only option is annoying and limited AF. Wired headphones is probably a bit outdated as well. But they are just better. My diesel-powered estate car with no screen nor touchscreen. I don't want an aerodynamically inefficient SUV and still need a lot of room for luggage. I don't want an inefficient gas-powered engine. Electric car not yet offers enough range at an affordable price, and a target. Minimum 800 km range at 130 km height, preferably 1000 km. Max 5.2 liters 100 km at 130 km height. Regular size spare tire. Accommodate comfortably 4 people, and 5 legally allowed. 600 liters boot. 1,300 kilograms towing capability. I don't know, but about 5 years ago my box TV broke and I wanted to replace it. I went to Walmart and asked where they kept the box TVs. The associate looked at me like I had 2 noses. He's all like, we don't sell box TVs anymore. I'm 26. In my defense, I was a broke 19-year-old with no money. At the time plasma screen TVs were becoming a thing, but you couldn't buy one for less than a couple hundred, and I guess I never got the memo. Crying face. Not really outdated tech, but an approach. If I can, I still use websites instead of mobile apps. For example, Reddit, Facebook, my news channels, Twitter, etc. Almost every website has all the features that you need. No phone slowdowns because of bad mobile devs. I get very few push notifications instead. I pull information when I want it, not when some person app thinks I want it. I don't, and this is coming from a mobile app developer. MP3s. I refuse to pay for any streaming service. I buy MP3s and also I buy DVDs of movies and shows and then rip them into MP4s and put them all in a playlist so that I have my very own television with no ads. I think I have something like collectively over 900 episodes and all mixed shows. So all day I play my TV of Avatar and Adventure Time and Firefly and It's Always Sunny and South Park and etc. I use a safety razor. M19, and that thing is just so nice and shaves so close. So much better than electric. It's almost a mindfulness thing for me. No matter how much of a rush I will take 5 minutes at the beginning of the day and just be in the moment. When I grew a beard out, I swear my mental health declined slightly. But then I realized I'm still 19 and can't grow a beard to save my life. Cassette tapes, I love them so much. An odd thing I've noticed is that I've heard a lot of music that uses cassette tapes. In the beginning of some songs, sometimes you can hear the sound of a cassette being inserted and sometimes you hear an underlying hiss to the music. I just find it interesting that people may have heard this and never even know where the sound might have originally come from. The Kindle that had the full keyboard. I bought 10 of them off of eBay and keep scavenging them for parts to keep a couple up and running. I don't care about the keyboard itself, it's a weight and shape. I've got bad wrists from decades of software development and the newer Kindles kill my wrists and forearms after too short a time. The old Kindle I can read for hours. Books made out of paper. They are not really outdated yet, but every time I pass by a school, I see a bunch of kids with Kindles and shit like that. No one really reads books made out of paper anymore, because they are too hard to carry around, and insert any device, which allows you to read is so much better and practical. The fuck you mean? I don't need to charge a book, CDs and DVDs. Physical media doesn't end its contract with a streaming service and leave the platform. Men's shows and movies were on Netflix 5 or 7 years ago, and everyone told me I was a fool to keep the discs around. Now all my favorite content is spread out among half a dozen or more streaming services. For now. But Firefly and SG-1 are on my shelf. Forever. I drive a newer car for 90 of my driving but still have a 1973 Alfa Spider that I drive occasionally that I got basically for free 25 years ago. My main car is arguably better in every aspect, doesn't leak in the rain, more space, cheaper to run, does not need difficult to find parts. But on a sunny day and a windy road, the Alfa is so much more fun. Two things come to mind. A typewriter and a record player. I write short stories from time to time and I much prefer a typewriter to using a computer. My story can't be lost on my hard drive somewhere, or lost if my computer crashes or something. As for the record player, music does indeed sound better on vinyl than digital, cassette, or anything else. My field ration eating device Fred, I still have 4, which are the only can opener I will use. I've taught my family to use them, but most of the time they get me to open any can that doesn't have a ring pull lid. I am convinced that at this point they let me open the can for the smile of satisfaction I have remembering my good old days. T89 graphing calculator from 2002. Still has the heart scratched into the back cover with the initials of the goth girl that I had sex with in the cemetery that one time as well. Edit alright fine, here's the unabridged version. I have a 52 Samsung Plasma TV manufactured during the last couple years before they discontinued them. It's over 10 years old and has worked reliably for probably thousands of hours. There's no Wi-Fi or smart features that require internet access. I connect my Roku and that's all I need. I want a TV to be a TV and that's the way I like it, old man. Windows 7. With the menu Windows style settings to give it a Win98 look. BlackBerry Q10 phone still going strong after 10 years. As a phone it is very compact and has a physical keyboard. The outdated security means that web browsing ability absolutely sucks, though. I usually carry a SIM-less BlackBerry Key 2 for web functions. I have a paper calendar and one of those grandma paper day planners in my purse. My kids tell me I need to use the one on my phone but I need the actual paper planner to be able to function. Oh, and post-it notes. I use them everywhere. I write my grocery notes on them and reminders everywhere. I usually stick them to my phone, haha. I still have my collection of cassettes from the 80s that I play. My cassette player at home has a feature to skip the next song, and I still play the heck out Metallica, Def Leppard, Information Society, Van Halen, Flock of Seagulls, Thomas Dolby, Howard Jones, Duran Duran, NWA, Paula Abdul and a whole bunch of others. It took me forever to switch from having all my music downloaded onto a micro SD card and just streaming it. I blame my current phone model. It requires something like a special set of tools and 3 hands to take the thing apart to mount the card. All my previous phones had an easily accessible micro SD card slot. I have some MP3 files and CDRs that I would want to play. For information about the closest shelter or the anticipated time of power restoration, just in case there is another power outage and I need my smartphone to be accessible. My boomboxes are used to keep up with information but struggle on news stations. My car is a 2016, but for work I get rentals that are always the current year model and I fucking hate technology in cars now. There's way too much going on and way too many things I absolutely don't need. I always look forward to being back in my own car because it's as advanced as I'd like to get. I don't listen to them too terribly often, but I will probably never fully get rid of my CDs. Yes, streaming everything on YouTube is very convenient. But I'm old school. I still prefer having a physical product that I can hold in my hands. Plus, I enjoy looking at the artwork and/or lyrics. Wristwatch. Well, I know we no longer need such a thing that just tells what time it is now since we all have smartphones and live in the city where there's a clock everywhere we might need. But still, a lot of people want fancy watches and even I wear one when I have to be in suit. I have an over-ear, wired headset for specifically listening to music. No batteries, no Wi-Fi Bluetooth, no microphone. It is a lifesaver for long flights. It can be sorta clunky to carry and requires an adapter for my iPhone, but I love not worrying about battery life or connectivity. Winamp. I'm sort of temporarily using Spotify because it's going to be a bit replacing all my FLAC files I lost, but eventually, I'm going back to it because it worked perfectly from 2001, 2022 for me. Spotify's Windows player is so sluggish. It doesn't prefetch it. For example, text messages SMS texts between iPhone and Android are SMS only because iPhone developed a SMS replacement and only let other iPhones use it. Other companies gathered around to release RCS messaging, but it appears that Apple might support the most basic form of RCS possible. Philips AMVX. Still running on a W10 machine. I have no idea how. I've tried to recreate the drivers and how it was installed on other machines but no luck. I might try imagining the hard drive and upgrading to W11 on a spare in case it kills it. Love AMX systems. Manual transmission. Mechanical watch. Pencils and paper, also pens. Standalone calculator versus the one on my phone. Two-way radio like a walkie-talkie. Laserdisc, but haven't gotten a new one in almost 20 years. Still think it's the best copy of T2 I have. The iPod I received when I was in college, around 2008, and the 500-ish songs I had on it that I acquired over LimeWire and high-speed internet on my Dell laptop has sat in my center console connected to my O for nearly 10 years. I listen to it regularly. Any phone with a headphone jack. It was a bad decision then and it still is now. Fuck you Apple for starting the trend and fuck everybody else for following it. I don't want to have to charge earbuds. I don't want to be able to lose earbuds while they're on.